Welcome to Let It Breathe, the show that immerses you in the captivating world of wine and winemaking, offering exclusive insights from vineyard tours and tastings to the finer points of wine production and pairing. Get ready to explore and savor the art of wine like never before. Cheers. In this episode, host Krista Ludke sits down with Jesse Katz, a trailblazing winemaker and founder of Aperture Cellars in Sonoma's Healdsburg. With over 20 harvests and a portfolio that includes a record-breaking Cabernet Sauvignon, Jesse has earned accolades such as Forbes' first ever winemaker on the 30 Under 30 list and Wine Enthusiast's Top 40 Under 40. Here's his story.
I'm Krista Ludke, and you're joining us for Let It Breathe, where not only the wines, but the people open up. And today, I have an amazing guest, winemaker Jesse Katz. Jesse, thank you for being here.
It's my honor. Thank you for having me.
Before we jump,
glad we actually got this together.
This is your home. This is your backyard right here.
Literally and figuratively.
Before we jump into a bunch of questions, I want you to tell me about the Somm Foundation, because you're on the board.
Yeah.
Talk to me about its role in the business and how you got involved with Somm Foundation.
It's a new appointment for me. I just started this year, and it's an amazing foundation that works with sommeliers from all over and really trying to get people from different backgrounds, different financial upbringings, all into this amazing industry that we all know and love. And the sommelier community has been so helpful throughout my entire career. When I was just getting off the ground, just starting, I can't tell you how many amazing somms really were great spokespeople for me and really got my wines in front of people. So I hope to do a very small part to try to raise money for them and get great people into this industry that I'm so passionate about.
I love that you're really passionate about the charitable piece and the diversity piece, and I think I've just noticed now talking to people from Somm Foundation just how much diversity in the wine industry that I think is underrepresented.
Absolutely.
Right?
No, and it's key, if we're going to break down these barriers that the wine industry, I think, has had for many, many generations and get more inclusive, have it be not this uptight thing, have it be something that is part of a cultural movement. I think we have to do that. It's a key.
Well, I've often thought about it because I like to geek out about details and things and pairings and all this. And so talk about wine knowledge. Forbes 30 Under 30, Wine Enthusiast 40 Under 40. We're not going to actually talk about your age, but this is impressive.
Thank you.
You were the first Forbes 30 Under 30 first winemaker ever. Tell me your first moments of being introduced to wine.
Well, I had a really unique introduction to wine. I'm from Colorado, first winemaker in my family, and I had the unique opportunity of traveling with my father and family growing up in Colorado all over the world. And he's been a photographer essentially his whole entire career. And in my early teens, he got commissioned to do his first project in wine, and he came out to Napa and Sonoma, and he fell in love with the culture, he fell in love with the people, he fell in love with wine. He really knew nothing about it, and that really skyrocketed his career in the wine space. And I'm only child. My family brought me everywhere from 16 months old to Japan to all throughout my teenage years, where we were living and traveling through wine regions. And 14 years old, sitting at the dinner table, I remember very distinctly at Olivier Lefebvre's house, and they're pouring a little glass of wine, and I'm looking at my dad and mom, is this okay to drink? And that was my first sip of wine, and the rest is history.
What was the wine? Do you remember it still?
It was a white Burgundy. I don't remember the
producer.
The vintage. No, it was Lefebvre,
okay.
Corton Charlemagne, but I don't remember the vintage.
Tell me sort of then the next steps. Where did you go from there? When did you know wine was what you wanted to do for your life?
Well, getting introduced to wine through my father's art was a really interesting way of finding this industry. I remember in the morning we were at that Corton Charlemagne vineyard and sitting there, and there was this bird that was flying through, and my father captured this amazing photo. He pouring a little glass of that wine. He's like, remember when that bird was flying over? This is from this vineyard. Remember that stream coming through? And there were same grape, white Burgundy, always Chardonnay for the most part, from the same vintage, but how vastly different this place had. That distinct interaction with that wine was like that aha moment and that very unique thing that I was like, how a place has such a power and such a distinct thing and it can be represented in a bottle was fascinating to me. So never in my wildest dreams at that time did I think there was even an opportunity for someone like myself to be in the wine space.
So you started Aperture in 2009.
Yeah.
Acquired this property where we're sitting
In
when?
2016.
Okay, and
Yes.
then tasting room opened.
Just in time for the grand opening of COVID.
I love it.
April of
Yeah.
2020. So in the first year of opening, we were supposed to have our grand opening April of 2020. And that first year we had to close down 4 times, twice due to COVID and twice due to forest fires. And we had hired an amazing team here to run the hospitality space, and we really pivoted quite early on to those virtual tastings.
Yep.
And so it was a wild, wild time, incredibly stressful, but officially July 9th, we were able to have our first in-person guests here in this space, and it's been wonderful. Now we're fully open. We created this as like the lens of a camera coming out from there, and so the aperture, which is all the shutters within the lens
Yep.
of a camera, each room is its own shutter. And so when the aperture's closed, we have all these different private rooms, indoor and outdoor. When the aperture's open, like we have it today, we have this indoor-outdoor space, and we can do TV shows, we can do
all the
events,
things.
dinners, and everything here.
Well, you've got a lot of 100-point wines. And what I think is really fascinating is most people think of the Russian River Valley out here as Pinot Noir, Chardonnay country, but you're making world-class Cabernet Sauvignon.
We're sitting in Russian River, surrounded by Cabernet Sauvignon right now.
Which is, I snuck a few grapes. They're tasting
Get it while you can.
almost
Next
there.
week-
I was
next
gonna
week
say,
we'll harvest it,
Yeah,
so
you're
it's the right
right
time.
on the edge. Tell me what your what was the decision behind doing Cabernet Sauvignon?
Well, when I started Aperture, I had traveled and studied all over the world, from Argentina, Bordeaux, and most of my time up at that point was throughout Napa Valley because I was Bordeaux minded. Cabernet is certainly king in Napa Valley, and really learned from some of the best out there. And as we started to see these warmer and drier vintages, it really kind of got my mindset of like, all right, where can be successful now, but also in the future. We started in the hills of Alexander Valley, just a little bit east of here. And what I loved about it, it was some of the best soils, best aspects. And it still gets quite warm, as you know, during the day here.
Oh,
and so
God.
we get the best of both worlds. These warm days give us the ripe, rich characteristics that Cabernets and Red Bordeaux varietals are so famed for in California. But we get a lot of coastal influence. And
cool at night.
there's
It's
no
just-
mountain range to the west of us.
Yeah.
And so those cool nights are about 10 or 15 degrees cooler than Napa Valley, for instance. And so what that does is it slows the whole ripening season down. It brings a level of freshness, acidity, natural acidity, brightness to the wines, and kind of lengthens the growing season. So to me, as we continue to see these warmer and drier seasons, we've had some of the best success for those varietals in these areas. And it started in the little bit warmer Alexander Valley. And as I kind of had the mentality, maybe a little bit more European mentality of, all right, let's look at what's going to be great now, but also let's plant for the next generation. That's what got my mindset of planting Cabernet here in the Russian River, and it's been spectacular.
One of the things that I'm gonna just out myself here on camera, I'm now in love with your Chenin Blanc. I
you.
feel like it's an underrepresented varietal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk to me about, kind of why you chose that. Like, where's your love come from with this varietal?
Chenin, I think, is probably the most diverse varietal as far as how an influence of a winemaker can show. You can make it in a sparkling style to a dessert style and everything in between. It's very, very diverse as far as how you grow it, when you pick it, and the winemaking style. I found this amazing vineyard that was planted in the 40s, some of the oldest Chenin Blanc vines in the United States, and really wanted to kind of showcase this amazing site. And we make it in a dry style. We ferment it in stainless steel, cement, and neutral French oak. All building different textures, and we put that blend together, and it just makes this wine that captures the essence of that place, but also builds these different textures and holds on to the amazing aromatics of that wine.
Well, not only Chenin, but you also have a love for Malbec.
Yes.
I mean, talk to me about that. It's under a different label.
I really wanted to surround myself with the best winemakers, best vineyards, and best estates, and so I went to different parts of the world to learn how to make wine at the very, very top level. So I studied and worked in Argentina for a few different vintages, one for Paul Hobbs at his winery in Mendoza at Vinacobos, one for the Argiano and Sasakaya families in Patagonia, Argentina,
Wow.
in the middle of nowhere, which
Yeah.
was spectacular, at Bodega Neomia and Bodega Chacra. The Chacra is the Pinot Noir house. And wanted to showcase what a single bottling of Malbec could be. And it took me a few years to find the right sites. And the very first site that I found was Faro Ranch. started with like a few hundred cases of this wine, single bottling, 100% Malbec from this one block of old dry farm site, and captured everything that I loved about Malbec. And Malbec is very specific to where it's grown as well. And from the very first vintage in 2012 on, it's always been the highest rated Malbec in the history of the United States.
And I want to know the story behind the name.
Okay, so how the Devil Proof name started was actually from my father's, one of his most famous photos. And this was a photo that he captured in Cuba in the early 90s. We went through Mexico illegally in there, and we spent just under 2 months out there. While we were in Cuba, got to know a lot of amazing people there, and this woman in particular, my dad has photos of me sitting on her lap when I'm like 7 years old, and my father kept on hearing this theory that if you live well, drink well, the devil can't get you in your Devil Proof. And he thought this photo embodied all that power, gravitas, elegance to that, and named that photo Devil Proof. And when I was creating the Devil Proof brand in 2012 and really trying to push the limits of what Malbec could be in the United States and in California, I'm like, well, let's push the limits. What's in the bottle, the name, the
label.
photo. It comes in a custom cigar box when you get your allocation.
No way, I
and
love
so it's been a really amazing project, and I'm very, very proud of the following that we've created for that wine.
Not only are you in the wine space, but rumor has it you have sold the most expensive bottle of wine ever.
This is correct.
Yeah,
yes.
tell me about this. Like, are we talking? Is this for real? $350,000 for a bottle?
No, we sold a bottle for $1 million.
Come on!
We broke our own record.
Tell me, what's the wine? What's the place?
First of all, this is all 100% went to charity.
Yes,
so
of course.
Even more impactful, and that I'm super proud of all the money that we raised for the amazing Carnival de Vin Emerald Lagasse Foundation. And this was a one bottle, a 6-liter bottle of a single vineyard Cabernet under the Setting Wines called Glass Slipper Vineyard. Got that Guinness Book of World Record, most expensive bottle of wine ever sold.
You also consult for celebrity wine projects. Talk a little bit about how you balance what your ideas are with what they're telling you they kind of want to achieve.
Well, pretty easy, because I only work with people that give me full freedom to do
I
whatever
love it.
I want.
You're
so,
like, I'm the boss here. Yeah.
We both stay in our lanes of what we're best at.
I was going to say, they would be silly not to just let you drive, right?
And that's always been the case.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about some of the projects you've worked on.
So it's wide-ranging from projects that are tied into different charities and foundations, and been very, very proud at some of those projects that we've done with Von Miller and Ellen DeGeneres and the Lakers organization and so on. And we've been able to raise between that, some of these big bottles we've sold at auction of over $6 million in the last 6 years.
Congratulations.
For different charities and stuff.
One of the things that I noticed in talking to your team, since we've been here for a while, everyone speaks so highly of you. They say that you are the kindest boss, but that you also really push them. How do you balance, getting everything you need to get done, but also, being this person that's really trying to push them forward? Because it's tough.
Well, it starts with the team. Like, I have an amazing, amazing team, and so we're all working simultaneously as a unit, and we try to kind of incorporate and make sure everyone understands the difficulties, the successes that each department is having. I absolutely love this, and so I can't stop thinking about it, dreaming about it, and so I think this is just the beginning, and thankfully we have some amazing people that are also driving the ship with me.
So you say this is just the beginning. Give us like a tiny glimpse of Jesse, future looking, what's on the horizon?
So the proof of concept, I think, is now, we have critical acclaim behind that.
You've nailed it.
But there's still a lot to prove. It all starts with the site. This property here, most of these young vines were planted in 2019. So we're just starting to see those come into their own. And I think there's a lot more great sites to still be found here in Sonoma County, and creating world-class wines for those and giving the opportunity to get these wines out to more and more people.
Well, I feel honored that we have such an amazing, incredible young winemaker here in Sonoma County that I can now call a friend. So it's been truly an honor to chat with you today. Before we let you go, though, we're going to do some quick fire questions.
Bring it on.
But we should probably drink some wine.
Yes, please.
Yeah, we got to loosen up a little bit, All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Thank you so much. You didn't get to see what they opened.
Cheers.
So we're going to see if you can guess your own wine.
'21 Bordeaux blend.
Okay, I don't know how to verify, but I'm going to take your word for it.
Do we have a bottle back there?
Yeah. Can we verify? All right. Name your 3 favorite varietals.
Cabernet, Malbec, and Merlot.
Okay. Screw caps, yes or no?
Yeah, I use them on my Chenin Blanc.
Okay, love it.
So if you're going to enjoy the wine within the first year, it's such a good it's such a good closure that it maintains that freshness.
And it's easy for me to buy the glass, boom,
yes.
done. Have you ever put ice in your wine?
Yes, I have. It wasn't very good wine, and I needed something to help me out there.
If you had to pick one AVA to only drink wine from for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Well, this is pretty easy for me, Sonoma County, because I think there's more diversity here in Sonoma County than just about any other wine region in the world. As you get close to the coast, there's areas cooler than Champagne. As you get up into the hills, there's areas warmer than Bordeaux and everything in between. So we have more soil diversity here in Sonoma County than all of France put together. Rhone varietals,
Cabernets.
and now we have Cabernets here. Yeah, no brainer, Sonoma County.
Okay, last one. We are a travel network, so we like to ask all our guests, how do you airport, Jesse?
Well, it has changed drastically in the last 2 years because I have a 2-year-old, but it's a lot of fun. We try to bring her as much traveling as possible. She's traveled all over the world. She's got her passport already. So,
I love it.
How I travel has changed quite a bit in the last 2 years, but all for the better.
Well, keep traveling, keep exploring all the wine regions. We love what you do.
Thank you so much.
It's been such a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank
Cheers.
you.